4 children. So why don't we get right into it? Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and where my audience can find you.
Well, my name is Harvey Laguerre, stay-at-home dad of 4, like you mentioned, 1 son, 19-year-old, and 3 daughters, 17-year-old daughter, 13-year-old daughter, 8-year-old daughter. All that adds up to I'm exhausted. Let's just say that. I'm tired. These kids can run me ragged physically, emotionally, in every way. But when you become a parent, that's what you expect. But I'm also a host of Men of the Prize, the podcast. It is a podcast for men, an open space for men to be open, vulnerable, and emotional. And I speak to a lot of fathers. And I take pride in being the one who takes care of my kids. I take pride in being the one that drives them to this event, or lets them hang out with kids, or have to make sure that they're not playing around on their phones and doing shenanigans. I take it very seriously that as a parent, I'm the one raising these children and sending them out into the world. That's part of why I enjoy doing this podcast, because I speak to a lot of fathers. You can find my podcast on my website, harveylaguerre.com. You can actually see my logo next to me. See the spelling there. Just go to the website. You can either listen or watch. I've done about 70 or so episodes, and it's every week talking to a different man, and we delve into that man and his issues and his problems, and a lot of times fatherhood is part of it. So that's generally where you can find me, and you learn a lot about me through the conversations that I have with the men on my podcast also.
Perfect. So take us through the genesis of your journey into fatherhood. So was this something, Harvey, that you always wanted to do because you have 4 beautiful children? Or is this something that when you started becoming a father with child number 1, you kind of had to learn as you're going along?
I think the best way it's a bit of a story. I talk enough, so I won't have a problem getting into it. So I grew up in somewhat of a toxic household. My parents were together. They got divorced when I was 10. I had to go to court, and I had to sit in that chair. I had to testify and pick a parent. So from that experience, and I was those first 10 years, because it was very violent, it wasn't a space where a child should grow up, but that's what happens sometimes. Coming out of that, I did not have a good view of marriage. I was in a house where these 2 people had no reason being together. They shouldn't have been together, and I lived it day to day, and I heard it, and I saw it, and I experienced it. So pretty much from me leaving that court that day, living with my dad, I'm like, I'm not getting married. I'm not doing it. It's not working. I have other people in my family who were married, and their relationships weren't that great. Why am I getting married? So I pretty much had that in my head. I'm like, I may have some kids, I might do that, but I'm not going to get it. That's not going to be mine. I grew up, went to college, failed out. I did my thing. It took me a while to kind of get myself set. And I dated, and I kept myself at the point where I was not a statistic. I was not a baby daddy. I didn't have any kids running around. I wasn't messing around. I was safe. I enjoyed life, but I made sure that it wasn't going to affect anybody negatively. And I'm never going to get married. I don't know, maybe I'll never have kids. I walked into work one day, and I saw a woman sitting over at a desk, and I'm like, that's my wife. Because we talk a big game about stuff until something changes. And I'm like, yep, that's her. So I went from it was like a Monday, like, I'm not getting married. I said that at 7:30. At 8:15, I saw my wife. It's that kind of stupidity. So from there, I went from not wanting to get married to I found my wife. And then we started dating eventually. It took a little while. She had 2 kids from a previous relationship. So the first 2 kids that I have are from previous relationship. My son, who's 19 now, and my daughter, who is 17 now. Then we got together, and we have 2 kids of our own, but I have 4 children. So for me, parenting started as the eventually adult and the eventual father of 2 kids whose father was around. Not involved, but around. So he was there. So I got closer to mom, I got closer to them, and eventually got married, and then we're family. So that's where fatherhood started for me, kind of raising somebody else's kids. We got married pretty much within a year of us dating. For somebody who had been so safe previously, we got her pregnant and we got married. quick, bang, bang, bang. Once we got together, we're like, let's just make this official. And we just got to business. So then so we got married. A month later, my first biological daughter was born. So there, to me, there's somewhat of a line. There's sort of a space between being that stepdad versus being like the biological dad. Because for me, I want to be involved. So as soon as I found out my wife, Clarice, was pregnant, I'm like, okay, I'm at every appointment. I'm there. I'm at every test. I like, listen, schedule these appointments so that it's on my day off so I can be there. It's like, cool. Every one of them. I'm there. I saw the baby being born. I was with her through every craving. I went to the movie theater because she loved movie theater popcorn while she was pregnant. So I'm the one going to the movie theater to get the popcorn. I'm getting her a Wendy's burger she wanted one. I'm like, this is my child, and this is the woman taking care of my child. So for me, fatherhood encompassed everything. The kids, my wife. But then we had one more child. But by then, I'm dad to everybody. I'm the adult male for everyone in this house. And that's what I take it as. I'm raising them. Now, we were working for a while, and we got to the point where I went to work one day and they were like, listen, Harvey, we don't need you to come back ever again. So they're like, listen. So I got fired. So I went home. So fatherhood was kind of thrust upon me. Stay-at-home dad was kind of thrust at me because it wasn't the plan. But once I didn't have a job and my wife was working and doing well, so I didn't have to immediately get a job, I stayed at home. And that was about 5 or 6 years ago. And this is what I do. This is my new full-time job. It's not new anymore, but it's my full-time job. It is raising these kids to be great members of society. I'm raising a son to be respectful, to be a good part of this world. I'm raising 3 daughters to respect themselves, to know how to be respected. I'm sending my agents out. That's what my kids are. I know I'm doing a good job if my kids are met by other people and other people know that they're good, because that means me and my wife have done something good. So that's pretty much my fatherhood story, but everything, obviously it's a day-to-day change because being a dad changes when the kids get older or when you change as a person.
I think many men have been in that situation where they would swear on their mother and their father that they're like, you know what? I grew up in a household. I did not see any healthy marriages. I'll be damned if I get married. Right? And then
Yes,
they look to
sir.
their right. They see that woman over there, stardust in their eyes, and they're like, you're the one for me.
Mhm.
SWV, right? They begin to sing it because when you're put in that situation, things change. I think as human beings, if we were to dig deep and trust our instincts, we know who's going to be a part of our life and we know who's not going to be a part of our life, especially when we're looking to build that type of relationship. You saw this woman, you said, this is the woman for me. This is one that can turn around all these quote unquote negative impressions of serious relationships, of marriages.
Right.
And here you are doing something that a lot of men would say that I don't know if I want to take on other children,
Right.
but you made it work and you made it a part of the family where it's like, it's the 6 of us in this together versus it's 2 over there, it's 2 over here, and it's 2 over there. It's a unit. When you decided to marry the woman you're married to now, and then you had 2 additional children, now there's 6 of you. Did you ever look back and think, man, Harvey, you're actually married with children, despite you thinking all those years ago, this is something that you would never do?
I pretty much, once I was engaged, once I was with this woman, I really started looking back. That was a pretty quick thing for me because I was very much in the mindset of not marrying anybody. So when I even told people, oh, by the way, I'm getting married, the shock and the awe from these people, like, you what? Like, so I was getting that. And then I'm like, you know what? I understand it. I was vehement. Like, it's not happening. I'm not married. I'm not doing it. And people who know me understood why. So by telling people and then seeing the response, then it just made me think like it was like these people don't even know what to do with themselves when I say that, when I told them. And I really thought, I really had to look back and say, yeah, I didn't expect that. But it not only did I have to look back, I had to really decide that I wasn't going to do what I was raised around. Seeing that, I'm like, if I'm doing this, something that I didn't expect to do, I'm gonna have to do it right. I have to be the parent that I didn't have, because I didn't have the best father. He wasn't a great husband either. I'm getting all these things that I didn't see I'm going to be. So once I got past the surprise of doing this, then I have to do it right. I'm not going to waste all this talk and just be duplicitous. I'm never getting married. Oh, by the way, I'm getting married, and then mess it up. I'm going to be a good husband. I'm going to be a good father. I'm going to be all the things that I didn't see, so that my children can grow up. And if they decide that they don't want to get married, it's not because of circumstance. It's because it's an actual decision on their part. I'm going to make sure that, that I have good people. And for me, even though I was in a bad situation, I still feel like I came out of it as a good person nonetheless. But I want to make sure that my kids can come out of a happy home, of a loving home, especially my daughters. I've got a son, he's 19, but I have 3 daughters. It's seriously and incredibly important that I send these beautiful Black girls out into the world, confident, knowing that they're loved, knowing that they're valued, knowing that they're special. I have to make sure. And I obviously at that point I already had one. Then I impregnated her. Carice is my wife's name, by the way. So we got her pregnant, 2, 3. I'm like, these kids have to go into the world pretty well developed. We all have trauma. We all have things that we deal with, but I'm going to do the best I can to be a good person. And then I'll pass that down to them and then send them into the world and go from there. But once everything flipped for me, I had to take a look at it, realized that I was talking a lot of big game, and got past that and realized, yeah, now what?
What kind of standard do you think, or I shouldn't say standard, what kind of pressure maybe that you're putting on yourself to be that example of a man, especially as a Black man, right, to your daughters? Because you have 3, and for them, depending on how young they were when 2 of them were kind of taken on by you, you are setting the standard of the type of man that they can look to, because you're the first man that they're seeing in that capacity that is showing affection, that's showing that they want to care. So what kind of standard do you think that you're putting on yourself to be that type of man for your daughters?
I don't see it as pressure. I see it more as taking on a responsibility. I don't know, when we're men, we obviously are raised to provide, to take care, to do whatever. And to a degree, I take that on. So it's not a pressure thing for me. It's what I'm supposed to do. As that father figure, I'm supposed to be the man that they can trust. I'm supposed to be the one who messes with them a little bit, who, with my son, I can jab him, like how we deal with each other. I can be the kind of emotional one with my girls, and they can hug me and jump on me, and we can talk and be playful and all that. I do my very best, and I'm not perfect. None of us are, but I do my best to just be a good man in general. I feel like it's what I would be without kids, but I want to do that for them. So I'm trying to be the best me in front of my kids. So especially for my girls, I want them to recognize how they should be taken care of, and also how they should take care of whomever they be with. Who are they going to be with? If they're going to be with men, they're going to be with husbands. This is how you take care of men. This is how you respond to men. This is how you open up to men, and how you allow them to open up to you. I do this. A lot of what I do is with them, but also really important with the relationship with mom. We aren't the perfect couple, but what we are 2 people who love each other, and we've been married going on 14 years. And we've stuck it out. We've been together. Our kids learn so much from us. My son learns how to respond to women. I open the door for my wife and his sisters. He learns that from me. His sisters learn how to talk to him, how to talk to me, how to be respectful. Same for him. I think one of the biggest things is that My kids see two people who love each other, who occasionally have conflict. We argue, we disagree. But what's good, what's important for my daughters to see is that that conflict never resorts or becomes violent. It's two adults talking. It's a man and a woman talking. We may disagree. The voice might even go up a little bit, but that's as far as it goes. You can have conflict. You can argue. There is a way to argue. There's a way to disagree with somebody. I take pride in the fact that my children understand how to deal with conflict. And they should, and especially our girls, they should understand. I don't want them to go out there thinking that every guy is going to beat them, or it's going to be a domestic abuse thing. Maybe I just disagree. And they see that with their father. They see that with their mother. All of these things that I'm not really trying to do, but I just happen to do, are things that they're going to remember. They're sponges. They soak up these things. They remember these moments. So it's not pressure. It's a responsibility that I take very seriously. I pride myself on sending out these 4 kids, and they're going to go into the world and they're going to be well balanced. They're going to know they're loved. So they're going to expect love from whomever they're going to be with. And they know how to take it, what to do with it, and raise kids their own way. So I just do my best to be here, to be present, and then I leave the rest to them.
For those who are watching on Facebook, YouTube, and my social media, please continue along for more incredible interviews like the one we have with Harvey, my new best friend who's representing for all the fathers out there. And we will be back for more. So stay tuned.